Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you all for joining us in today's memorial service in celebration of Becky Francis's life.
Thank you.
Becky was a very much loved woman, a mother to all those who knew her and the family. Becky has been a Scientologist for over 30 years, spending a great deal of her time here in Florida. So first, I'd like to invite anyone present here to come up and say a few words in memory of her life, if you would like to.
Sure. You can go first. Or
I'll go after.
Okay. So, okay.
Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Paul Rogers. I'm Becky's brother. And I wanted to do a couple things. I wanted to read something that my sister, my oldest sister, Linda, wrote. She couldn't be here. She's in Germany recovering from shoulder surgery. It's hard for her to say. Hard for us to say. So I just wanted to read that and then tell a couple stories of my own. So this is from my sister, Linda. Becky Francis, my sister, who made me laugh and enriched my life in so many ways, left us without warning just weeks ago. She was always so vital and intense. I knew she would outlive us all, yet she didn't. Becky lived outrageously, was hilariously funny, and was lovingly supportive. She made me laugh so hysterically that my jaws ached. Even though we drove each other crazy sometimes, I felt connected with her spirit. The last time I saw her, I mentioned her fearlessness. She was never afraid. I always envied that. When I was a teenager and had terrible nightmares, she would let me climb into her tiny bed as long as I would need her protection. She would jump enthusiastically into new adventures, whether singing at the top of her lungs to the oldies or learning how to fly a plane. From winning championships in tennis to organizing giant exhibitions with famous artists and multimillionaires. She gave everything she had to the C Word and was proud of the work she'd done. She dared to leap and sometimes fell, but she fell on her feet. And she always got right back up again. Yet one night in February, she didn't. Her body gave up, and now she's left a gap in our hearts. Goodbye, sister. Thank you for being in my life, and you will always have a cozy nook in my heart. I miss you terribly. So that's for my
Very nice.
Now I think, I don't know, is it not being recorded, or is it being? I think I'm just gonna come down here for my part, if I may, because I've got,
Sure. Yeah.
I got visual aids.
Good.
All right, so there are three stories I want to tell. I was looking through pictures, and three things hit me that I just wanted to share about my sister.
Great.
So the first one is, they were about 9 and 10 years older, 9 and a half, 10 and a half years older than me. So this is me as a 1-year-old, and this is my two sisters. So I always joke and I say, you know, when I was born, I wound up having 3 mothers. I had my mother and my 2 sisters. And the great thing about both my sisters, and certainly about Becky, was I could do nothing wrong. Anything that I did, it was just, you know, I was the best at everything and anything. I wasn't, but she thought I was, and she was so supportive. So this is a big memory for me ever since I was little. It's like I could do nothing wrong. And her big thing that she would say, even before she went to California, she would say, "That's my bro." You know, even when she was in Texas, "That's my bro." And I was Buck. My nickname was Buck. It's a prenatal nickname.
Prenatal.
Not Buck Rogers. The second one is interesting. This is her wedding photo when she married David. And the reason that this is special to me is because I was, what year was that? 72, 70, something like that. I was maybe 10, 11 years old, 9 years old. 71, I was 11 years old. I was just a kid, right? They said their vows, and the thing that struck me was when they turned around and the music swelled, and I looked at her, and she just had the most overwhelming look of joy. And I was even tearing up as an 11-year-old, just seeing how happy she was at that point. And that just really stuck with me, just moments in time. And then the final thing, I think, is she's so supportive and so loving, but there was one person that she was really, really crazy about, who she was really crazy about.
Really close.
so, I mean, never stopped talking, always bothered, always loving, and throughout the years. And I just wanted to end on that note, that she loved me, she loved Rachel, she was a wonderfully energetic person, you know. She would overdo it sometimes, you know. She would maybe think she was an expert after trying something for about 10 minutes, you know, and she might pay the price. But she always had that energy. Everybody knows, and who knows her knows she had that energy.
Yeah.
And she certainly had that in her love for Rachel. And I'll carry that forward as long as I'm alive too. So that's all I wanted.
Thank you.
All right, well, I thought I would make it through without. Thank you. Great.
Is anyone else would like to share something?
I will.
Go for it.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay, let's give one with Rachel, the daughter.
Okay, well that, I don't have it quite as prepared as Uncle Buck does, but I have a lot of notes. As we know, she's done quite a few different things. It's hard to keep track, but I know she started early on helping other people. Like let's see if I can get this right. You can correct me anytime I say something that's wrong. I think she was about 6 years old when she started running errands on the floor of the House of Representatives in Kentucky. I think, is that what they call it?
Probably.
You know, she was running around there, you know, delivering messages and stuff. I think that's pretty young. I don't know how she ended up in Frankfort, Kentucky at all, myself at that age. But she must have had some line with someone. Then she just carried on. I mean, she could also say nothing wrong about Uncle Buck or Linda or her life and being with her family. And, you know, from coaching, I think she coached Little League for you.
Minor
at
league,
times.
minor league, yeah.
And then she was really proud of that. We have pictures of the Little League team in Lexington. She was also, you know, state champion in tennis along with Linda, and she was really into horses, of course. You know, growing up in Kentucky and in Lexington, I have a little photo back there of her with one of her horses, which she did all the way up until we left Kentucky in like 1980, 81. So for a good solid at least 10 years, I think she started when she was about 13 doing that. And she would always bring her riding gear home and helmets and all that stuff, right? And she would drop me, I went everywhere with her. I was one of the kids that traveled with mom no matter where she went, no matter what she did, hiking in the country or, you know, being like literally climbing up hillsides that were like this, you know, from tree to tree, you know, and she's holding me up like this as we're moving up, you know. She taught me all about birds, you know, had a whole indoctrination into all the different types of birds. We had a thing that would play bird calls, so we'd go out the country and attract all these different birds around us, and then if you ever want to scare birds away, just play that barn owl, I think it is, and then all the birds just like completely freak out and take off. So learned quite a bit about that. She played the violin and the cello. I think she told me of her escapades in trying to carry a cello on a bicycle, you know, to school. She actually helped me when I was learning to play violin. She translated I didn't learn music, but she translated all the music for me so I could learn how to do that. Of course, she went to the University of Kentucky. I don't even know all of the degrees and things that she did there, but it was a lot of different things like architecture and we got into medical research. Of course, at the time I had kind of a rare disease at the time when I was very young, and she persisted on getting that thing addressed and handled. It took about 5 years, but she stuck through it the whole time, and Uncle Buck and Dad and everybody, you know, we were there, you know, it was a group activity. She was in sorority Alpha Chi Omega in the University of Kentucky. She was really proud of that. I have photos of her and, you know, the rose that she was given and her little sorority sisters. And soon after, I think they all took a trip to Bermuda, so we have photos of their little trip to Bermuda in 1968, I think it was. So then, you know, I was born in Lexington, grew up there, we left and then moved to a little town outside of Indianapolis called Greenfield. Population 12,000, very small. Prior to that though, she had actually been accepted into law school and was going to be an environmental attorney. However, her husband at the time was also just got a job at Eli Lilly of all places. And of course that was not socially acceptable for her to be an environmental lawyer. So she went into realty instead. So she was a realtor. And then also while we lived in Indianapolis, of course there's an Indy 500, that is done yearly, and she was involved in various ways on that. And in fact, the last time we went to that a couple of different times, and the last time we were there, Bobby Rahal had just won, and she was with his wife in where the Wyatts are, with their little son Grant, who'd just been born. And so, she runs down to tell, the wife that he just won and took the kid so she could run off to congratulate him on just winning the Indianapolis 500. So that was cool. And these are things also that I never really knew. Like I would see Mom disappear. I'd be off doing things and she would go do all this stuff and never really said anything about it at the time. Then soon after, she went to work for the Indianapolis Business Journal, and she wrote there for a couple of years. And she actually wrote a piece about Eli Lilly as a company and kind of laid out just how they made money and this and that. And it was a very good article, but it incensed the CEO to such a degree that she called for, her resignation, at the time. And the editor was like, no, this is an amazing piece, But she really knew how to get information, and she really pursued certain things, bring truth, where she could. And that was another factor of her. She always was very strong to her own purposes and what she knew, and her own personal integrity was always at the forefront of everything that she did. And then soon after, she found Scientology. I think she saw a Dianetics commercial on TV while we were on vacation in Florida. Then she disappeared from our vacation at the time, and then came back having done the purification rundown and some introductory auditing. And then from there, we then joined the Sea Org, and we came out, first we came here, then we went to LA almost very soon after, and then she went to Golden Era Productions. But prior to that, she had done a tremendous work on renovations projects in Los Angeles, the Hollywood Guarantee building, which is one of the main buildings there. She oversaw most of the renovations and the renovation of the Charlie Chaplin office that's in that building. That's sort of historic. So she always had a hand in the histories of things. And she just did so many, countless projects and countless activities for the group and for bettering lives of others. And one of the last things, not the last thing, but she also worked on one of the initial projects for the Ideal Orgs. When that was getting going, she had some background in fundraising and stuff like that, and this was back in the day when we didn't have that. And she started working out how that could be done for the San Francisco org, and started, laying some groundwork for that activity. And she was always helping other people. She obviously knew a lot of different things. She introduced me to opera, good old-fashioned movies, with Audrey Hepburn and stuff like that. And then newly, she was heavily into the Korean band BTS. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're very, fourth dynamic oriented, very clean, group of guys. They're from South Korea, and who, I've always asked, well, how do you, as an American, get into these things at all? It's so not even American, very European. And then, well, I have to say my mom, always looking out for these other things that would be enjoyable. Some of her favorite songs that would sort of embody or kind of give the view of her life was one song, I'm Walking on Sunshine, that song. Okay, that, if you imagine with my mom in the car, and it's a beautiful summer afternoon, the windows are down, we're cruising on the highway, that song's on the radio, and we're just singing at the top of our lungs, you know? It's very, very much her. And the Pointer Sisters, I'm so excited, right? Very much embodies her.
Yep.
And you know that Wang Chung song, Everybody Have Fun Tonight?
Right.
One of her favorites, you know, from the 80s, sing to us to this day. So those are pretty much, I don't have it quite written as beautifully as Linda did. That was very, very nice. And
That's
very,
great. That was neat.
Uncle Buck's, you know, recollections and stories. I mean, there's tons of stories. I could keep you here probably all day long, but you probably know most of the stories anyway. So thank you very much for coming, and you know, anything that she did to make you laugh or smile, you know, just think of that. And her energy in getting things done is always very much like an inspiration to me. If I could be, you know, half as active as she was, even at her age, I'd be doing really good, you know. So I always look to her as she set a good example, and loved her very much. And she loved everybody, all of her friends, she loved them dearly, even people she didn't even know. You know, she would help people in the grocery store, on the street, in the airport. So thank you very much for coming.
That was nice.
Thank you, Rachel.
We'll now do the funeral ceremony.
Our loss is gain in other times. Our hope on future bent must then depend on incidents like these, for bodies where and the ink of the fine grist mill of time are spent in service such as yours. And go our time by smallest time into the yesteryear, wherein began the conquest of eternity. What did we know when yesterday we wept? What grip upon us had our ignorance? That we in our conceit did feel that all of us were mortal here, and lives once led were spent and wasted on our selfish selves. How narrow is such scope to feel that we should be eternally the goal of all the toil and wretchedness from birth to death, and like a play, the curtain dropped and left an empty stage. How dull of us to feel that